You're tuned in to The Money Movement, your one stop for 100% Canadian financial management content. This isn't just another podcast. This is a movement. Here's your host, Graydon Racine.
Welcome back to The Money Movement. I am your host, Graydon Racine, and today we're going to cover a topic that, frankly, and this isn't an understatement, changed my life, my motivation, my ability to create and produce, and really overall increase my happiness and health in general. Now, I've said this before, but like many of you, I pride myself on being able to handle, maintain, and grow multiple projects I'm working on at the exact same time. As it sits right now, I put in roughly 14 hours a day of work. Now, this isn't just 14 hours of a full-time job. No, this is split between a variety of different things, but there are multiple projects that I'm working on at one time. I'm in school full-time. I work a full-time job. I run a small business. I volunteer at my local chamber of commerce. I still maintain my fitness and health by putting in an hour of work every day at the gym. And of course, I still find time to produce this podcast. Now, this is no easy task to balance and manage all of these things at the same time. But again, it's something I have learned to pride myself on. Many people collapse or fail when it comes to managing too many projects at the same time, but for once in my life, I actually think my ADHD has really helped it out. I think it's the good thing about ADHD. Honestly, I'm able to multitask like an absolute monster. It wasn't always like this, though, and the reality is that at one point, I took on way more than I could handle. I just found out that I didn't have enough time in the day to manage all those things. My quality of work for my clients through Racine Media started to slide. I wasn't putting out episodes of my podcast as much as I wanted to, and when I did, the quality really it wasn't there. It wasn't where I wanted it to be. I found I was running late for things that I never ran late before in my life. And my quality work as a news anchor and radio host started to diminish as well. And don't even get me started on this, but the gym. For someone who relies on that outlet to clear my mind and focus, not going for a month started to really brew that perfect storm of failure. Now, all of these things together created this exhausted version of me that couldn't manage to find the willpower or motivation to do really anything at all when I got home. And it was really not good. This actually ended up leading to me kind of becoming, kind of depressed, to be perfectly honest. This is something that I don't think enough entrepreneurs really talk about, the mental health effects of owning a business that it actually has on you, especially now. We live in this age of social media. We put all of our shit out there. I bet when you started your business, you put it out there on social media. When you got your first client, you put it out there on social media. When you made decent money, I bet you started flexing and bought some nice things. We as business owners put all of our stuff out there for everyone to see. And yeah, when you first do it, it's great. You get all the congratulations, the applause, all the confidence in the world. But eventually, once you hit that rough patch, you start losing clients. You start feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders. That's when shit gets real. That's when all those people that were congratulating you are now starting to judge you. They whisper in the back, I told you it would fizzle out. What did you expect? They could barely finish high school. They are always just trying to show off. These are the kinds of things that will begin to really mess with your mental health. And when you're in that vulnerable point of your mental health is when all of it really starts to come to the forefront. You really begin to start to judge yourself, and you're left with one decision: quit or move forward. If you choose to quit, it's something you will regret and look back on for the rest of your life. But if you continue to push forward, say fuck the haters, create and consume and perform, you will reach a level of self-confidence only achieved by the great. The ability to not give two shits of what other people think, because while they're at their 9-to-5 job, you're going to be sitting there with your ass on a nice beach relaxing, or you're on a plane to meet a client, or you're just out for lunch with a client wheeling and dealing. So how did I change everything and manage to turn back the wheel and get back to being the productive, creative person I was? Well, it's actually rather simple. I created more time. I hate when people complain and then use the excuse, I don't have time for that. If you're the kind of person that works one job and complains about how poor they are and how stressed out they are, then proceeds to come home from that job and just play video games or watch TV and say you don't have time for another job or a side hustle, you're weak. You're not going to amount to anything outside of your 9-to-5. And frankly, the world of the hustle and grind, it isn't for you. Get out while you can, because you're not meant for this. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just trying to be honest with you, like you should be with yourself, and save you from the mental health issues, the stress, and the feelings of failure. There's nothing wrong with just being an employee. Some people are made to be an employee, while others, they're simply not. Creating time might seem like this ridiculously foreign concept or something that doesn't even seem possible in your day-to-day life, but trust me, It is. Like I said before, I was working on a bunch of different projects all at once, but I just couldn't find the time in the day to manage all properly. So I created time. Instead of sleeping until 7 or 8 every day before heading to work, I started waking up at 5 a.m. Now keep in mind, I don't start my job as a news anchor and radio host until 11, so by waking up at 5, I now had 5 hours in the morning to get shit done before I even started my full-time job. Just by waking up earlier, I was able to create at least an extra 3 to 4 hours to get work done. Honestly, you would be surprised how much stuff you can get done right in the morning when you're not already exhausted from the day. I used to wake up, have a coffee, watch the news, a little bit of HGTV, make another coffee, have breakfast, kind of chill out and then head out. Now, I wake up, I make a coffee, I open up that laptop, and I start creating. I have 4 hours every morning now when I'm fresh, well-rested, and motivated to do whatever it is I need to do. Plus, it gives me time to fit in the gym so my health doesn't slide. Every morning, I'm creating episodes of this podcast, going over documents and pitches to get new clients under the Racine Media, researching new podcast topics, and going to the gym every morning. And I'm able to do it all before most people and the rest of the world is even awake. There's this feeling you get. It's almost like a high. When you start your day being really productive, you get projects completed and worked on before most people are even finishing their morning coffee. And this just creates this snowball effect. Ever since I started waking up early to create time, my overall productivity has just skyrocketed. Not just on my podcast, my business, the gym. My workload at my full-time job has increased. My time volunteering with the Chamber of Commerce has become more meaningful and productive. Overall, every ounce of my life has gotten better since I created time and started waking up earlier. I am not as stressed out as I was before. My burnout is pretty much all but disappeared, and I'm actually getting shit done again. It's a really good feeling. Now, if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, I can't do that. I need 8 hours of sleep. You're wrong. You don't. If you already wake up at 5 in the morning and you're working until 3, then wake up at 4. If you still can't handle waking up early and then just stay up later. You need to figure out how to create more time in your schedule to outwork the rest of society. It's not going to be easy. Trust me, the first week is the hardest. When that alarm would go off, especially during the winter, I'd want to take that alarm and I'd want to just chuck it on the ground and break it. But now I know what that sound means. See, the sound of the alarm used to sound like... But now, when I hear that alarm, all I hear is...
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money,
Dollar, dollar.
Now, if waking up to that doesn't set you off on a really, really good note, frankly, I don't know what will. We're going to take a short break to hear from our sponsors. The Money Movement is brought to you by Next Gen Wealthy. At Next Gen Wealthy, they believe in helping grow the next generation of entrepreneurs. They offer business coaching, administrative, and accounting support to help you get your business off of the ground. The uniquely designed packages are guaranteed to suit your needs. You can contact Next Gen Wealthy today at 587-8wealth or info@nextgenwealthy.com. Honestly, my body adapted so quickly. I wasn't exhausted from waking up early anymore. And overall, I felt just absolutely amazing. That's the really funny thing about life. There's only one real currency, and it's time. We're all born equal when it comes to time. Sure, we may not be born equal when it comes to the environment we're in, the state of our country's economy, the violence surrounding us, but and I guess even the problems that we experience in life. But from the farmers in Vietnam to the starving children in Africa to the homeless man on the streets in Toronto to Mark Zuckerberg, Dwayne Johnson, Gary Vee, Bill Gates, they all have one thing in common: 24 hours in a day. It's just a matter of what those people choose to do with their time. I'm not saying, if people in Africa or the homeless person maybe the homeless person, but I'm not saying like if people in Africa and in violent countries spent more time of their day that could get out. I'm just saying everybody has 24 days. And all of those big names that I mentioned all wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning and start their workday before the rest of the world is even awake. And then we wonder why they're so successful. It's because they outwork the rest of the world. Hell, Gary Vee didn't even take off a Saturday in his entire 20s. He worked every Saturday for his entire 20s. While we were all out drinking and at the clubs, he's sitting on a computer creating content. Now that dude's one of the leaders of digital marketing in the entire world. It's huge. If you can learn to create time and efficiently handle that time, the rest well, it becomes history. Success is attracted to work ethic. And the more you work, the more work ethic that you have, the more successful you will become. It's not some hidden formula or secret you're going to find in a book. It's just simple math. If the average person goes to work for 8 hours and only works for that 8 hours, but you're going to work for 14 hours and creating extra rivers of income through side hustles and small business, who do you think is going to be more successful? But again, you need to respect the grind. Working those 14 hours does not come easy. It's not fun all the time. It's not something you're going to never struggle gathering the motivation for. But if you respect and fear the grind and treat the hustle and grind as a fight with procrastination and laziness, being the enemy, when you conquer that enemy, and you will, once you conquer that enemy, it's going to be the sweetest victory of your life. Thanks again for tuning in to The Money Movement, guys. If you haven't already done it, head over to all of our social media platforms. Search up The Money Movement Canada on Instagram and Facebook. Follow our pages. Plus, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button wherever you're listening to your favorite podcast. When I see you subscribe and I see those download numbers go up, it gives me that extra little motivation to be doing this. So make sure you're liking stuff, hitting the subscribe buttons, and all of that jazz. Plus, I get some huge news coming up. I don't want to tease you too hard, but there is some stuff cooking in the oven that's going to be released here in the next couple episodes. Remember, guys, this isn't just a podcast. This is a movement.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of The Money Movement, brought to you by Next Gen Wealthy. Be sure to follow us on all your social media platforms and subscribe to us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Remember, this isn't just a podcast. This is a movement.